Help support the Truth Cartel. Support in the moment. Super Chats. Support monthly through Patreon. Support with music. Support with merch. Click the links in the description.
One day Jesus coming back real soon. Take a look what my Jesus been through. He died for mankind, although we being cruel. Got a chance to repent, won't let it slip through. I got a dog out for Jesus like I'm his sister. When we preaching the gospel, we preach it true. Trying to give it to an atheist, a Muslim, or a Jew, yeah. Gotta give the Lord's word and give it right, cause he's coming back one day like a thief in the night. Be ready, so hold on to God and keep your faith steady.
Yeah, Marla, this Duma made another one. I call this one an EOX's. Red rose, white ceiling. These EOs out here just keep sinning. Packed up and left, we ain't kidding. All of it dedicated to hurt feelings. Drama brewed up like a toddler's tantrum. You down with the TC, now I can't stand them. When it came to doctrine or prize traditions, didn't matter what we believe. We ain't Christians, so y'all poppin' just to yawn and say, I just woke up. Yeah, we saw that all day, that woke line spent. Don't worry about it though, you may have time to repent, and even more time to grow. Yeah. Don't wanna talk doctrine, I just woke up. We can pray but you ain't saved, man. I just woke up. You can't even talk to Marla, I just woke up. Wait, did you just call me modalist? I just woke up. You can't ban me because I quit. You can't ban me because I quit. You ain't EO, you ain't EO, you ain't EO. I quit. I quit. Red rose faded, white ceiling caving. These boys claiming enlightenment with no priest in sight. It's just a lack of permission because their tradition ain't right. Bro, just whine in silence cause that's all you can do. When you cross the TC, you end up crossing the whole crew. Tradition states that we can't pray together or sing one song. Can't even say amens if the vibe feels wrong.
Hey, yo, mother, this Duma made another one. Red rose, white ceiling.
It's cool. It's cool.
I ain't gonna like this. Yeah. They call it a corner meal. Everybody mad. Yeah. I said a corner meal. Everybody mad. Yeah. Same old yo from the block. They say they in the heart, but they not. They saying that my circle just a die. Everybody hated on him, then he came back with a problem. I done spent a whole lot of time with the father. Doubling my prayers cause my church ain't making sense. I've been in my parents playing with the incense. When they all fell off the boat, yeah, I'm talking about the fence. I know it's a whole lot of folks that was hating. I know it's a whole lot of conference I was faking. So I shut them folks up, icons feeling us. Always knew that I was gifted, so I had to stay patient. Taking over land, brother, tell me what's the bid. I heard you still solo, tell me what it is. You ain't keep the fast, buying no books, reading no saints, they ain't let a brother live. All I see is vigilance, candles, hundreds. If it ain't full theosis, bump the vibe, I don't want it. About to make these folks sick. They call it a corner meal. Everybody mad. I said a corner meal. Everybody mad. Yeah. Same old EO from the block. They say they in the heart, but they not.
Yo, check. Mic check, 1 2 1 2, which ain't hard to do. Can you hear me?
Fast life JC, I'ma live it up. Got my ex-girl tryna make me jealous, saying that I'm moving worse. She don't know she out the church. I got me a deal, but I'm still in the name. Heard a couple folks talking like the guy big. They forgot that Jesus prayer.
That's the boss and the underboss. Alright, chat. Y'all been waiting for this one for a minute. Let's get into it. Tell all, let the truth be told. Let the Holy Spirit move.
Everybody mad. I said a corner meal.
Uh-oh, are we live? I think we live because the Truth Cartel mug is glistening. And I'm in sunny California. It's not too hot today. We got over this little heat streak that we were going on for like the last week. SoCal's burning up though. But y'all, welcome to a earlier than normal live. You know what? At first, I was like, I don't know about this vibe. You know what I mean? I want to do it a little bit later. But the brother that's coming in today has been faithful to his word and has given me inside information from the beginning and the insight. Plus, there's a couple of other guys that are in Jay Dyer's Discord. Oh, yeah, Jay Dyer. But the brother that we're going to be speaking to today has an inside in Crucible. He knew Andrew Wilson for some years, and I'll let him tell his story. Before we get to that, I got to clear my mind of some things. I haven't been live for about a week. So if you are here, please hit the like. And if this is your first time here, I want to welcome you to the Cartel of Truth. I am your host, Amaler, the unapologetic apologist, unequivocating evangelist, the poignant pundit, the uncancelable conservative. And why can't I be canceled? Well, in the end, if you tried to cancel me, I'll sue you. You know why? Because I'm just a dumb Mexican. So if you think you're smarter than me, if you think I'm stupid, like a lot of people on X think I'm really dumb. Man, boy, have I been fishing to try to get somebody to talk to me on X. It's impossible. They come to their wits, they come to their senses and go, nah, I don't think I want to talk to this guy. But anyways, go ahead and click that link if you disagree. I just pinned it in the chat, and you can click it anytime if you disagree. But of course, after the interview with our brother here. So we're gonna get into some things, but I gotta get some things off my chest. As you guys know, there's been a lot of chirping and yapping. And this dude, Andrew Wilson, spent 300 grand and he's still fighting with some weirdos online. I don't get it. If I spent 300 grand to try to platform myself and explode, and I'm still talking to some meatheads online, begging for a debate, is that really a net positive? I don't know. But it depends who's actually paying that 300 grand, huh? Because remember, he says he doesn't work for TPUSA. But yet he pulls up to TPUSA to do interviews. I'm confused. Anyways, what does this have to do with everything? Well, I'll tie it all together. Don't you worry yourself. There has been a couple of items that have been popping up that people have been telling me to address, and I'm not going to. And the only reason I'm telling you that now is because it's on the list, but I don't even want to tease it to you. One thing I do want to tell you, at the end of the show, we have a special guest and a very, very gifted person who will be joining for a new single he just dropped. Kai the Killer has a new song that we just dropped. I produced it, and I'd like for you guys to hear it. It just dropped on Apple, I believe, last night. So we're going to check that out at the end. Very special treat for you guys. But without further ado, why don't we get into what's on my mind, and then we'll have our guest up and jump into all the particulars. What do you say, chat? Let's get it cracking. All right, to say something about Andrew Wilson, somebody says, if you got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Well, I got to be honest, it's a Truth Cartel. So if what I'm going to say is the truth and it happens not to be nice, I can't help that. I can't. Chat, you guys are going to have to hold me accountable. If I'm going to say the truth about somebody and it happens to not be nice, and let's say just an overall analysis, do I then have to be quiet? I don't think so. But what's happening around X and in this political sphere, now that we're in the midterms, is that there has been this great alignment. And remember, I told you about this weirdo guy, Andrew Wilson, in Tennessee, doing this meeting and talking to his whole group, his little group at a hotel, and saying, yeah, we're going to be the provocateurs. We're going to go out here and we're going to start this whole movement. And we're going to need stupid evangelicals. And we're going to need to tell them, hey, how do you know Matthew wrote Matthew? And we're going to all get together. We're going to go on YouTube and we're going to debate everybody. And then as soon as we run into somebody like Mahler, then we're not going to debate him. Then we're going to say, oh, yeah, he doesn't answer questions. I had this dude, Andrew Wilson, on X telling me that he wouldn't talk to me again because I don't answer questions. You can't make this up, man. And let me just tell you how bad it is out here. These guys have been running around pretending that they're superior because they, to be honest with you, they talk to meatheads. And he went and made his rounds by talking to a couple of these guys who have been on Candace's side in this whole debate. And I just want to show you that it gets really, really bad out here when when you're kind of begging for these conversations. Let me show you where Andrew Wilson was at. I believe this was yesterday. And just to show you the difference, what a difference. Look at as he's talking to these meatheads. And I say that kindly. I mean, these guys are the guys, that talk about guns all day and pretend that they know stuff about the Charlie Kirk, case. And I'm not knocking him, but this is him trying to talk to the guy on the right, some guy named, what is this, Heavy Duty Country? So he's going to talk to Heavy Duty Country. And look what Andrew Wilson kind of does in this few seconds of a conversation interaction. Look at how tough he is. Let me fix my screen here real quick so you guys can get a sense of who we're dealing with. This is the tough guy. When he's on other people's platforms, he's real tough. Check this out.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
How about you? You got a contract with Rumble? No.
No, I don't think.
No, I don't think you do.
ever-
Yeah, I don't know. The answer is no. Do you want to do the debate?
Are you okay, man?
Yeah, I'm
You're
okay.
really
Do you want
struggling
to?
here.
Do you want to do the debate? It sounds like you're the one struggling.
Were you an
Yeah.
only child?
No, I'm the youngest of 7. How about you?
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
How does that make sense? It contradicts your previous statement where you said, "Are you an only child?" It's the opposite of that. You dimwit. Do you want to do the debate?
So he spent $300,000 to be on here with, I guess these guys are ex-military, shop at the same tank top store. He spent $300,000 so that he can be here going, want to do a debate with a guy who apparently he says has no clout. This dude, Heavy Duty Country. So imagine getting on with Candace, and then what you're doing is you're going around scouring, trying to find somebody to debate on this topic where the overwhelming evidence ended up being 75%, I guess, convincing. And this is what Wilson does. He picks his victims. Look at him. He's pressing them, telling them, "You want to do a debate? You want to do a debate?" Do you guys remember what I was doing to get this guy to pull up to have a debate? Remember, he says Mahler can pull up, but he's going to have to stay muted. Remember that? Look at the difference. And what I'm trying to point out is character. Is this guy is very, very calculated on who he will speak to and when. And my whole point is, if you're going to do that, then that means what you're doing purposely is trying to set up a narrative that you think you're the guy. And this narrative is crumbling, not no thanks to these guys. I mean, they're not refuting them, but it's happening because people over time are understanding the psychology of this dude is just a LARPer. He's pay him and he'll defend anything. I told you guys that before. And our guest coming up is going to give us some keen insight into exactly some of the tactics, some of the strategies that they employ. And he's a very smart guy, and we're going to allow him to speak. But I want to get something more off my chest here. The difference between this guy going, "Yeah, you want to do a debate?" Remember, he just got off 300,000, 100 million views.
Do you want to do the debate? It sounds like you're the one struggling.
Were you an only child?
No, I'm the youngest of 7. How about you?
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
How does that make sense? It contradicts your previous statement where you said, "Are you an only child?" It's the opposite.
So this is the competition that he lines up. Pretty smart, because right now that check, that 300,000 that he paid out, hasn't really paid back. But remember the difference. When we had to coordinate, me and JP had to coordinate to get this guy to pull up. Remember, it was like pulling teeth. And once he pulled up, look at the difference. He's telling him, "You want to debate? You want to debate? You want to debate?"
I call those guys and you guys grifters. Do you know?
Do
you want me to tell you?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's because he believes that you engage in polemics and not apologetics. He doesn't believe that any of you actually will defend any of your positions. I even put the offer up for you, Mahler, to come and do the exact same thing to see if it was the case that it wasn't just purely polemics. Yet one time seen any of you in this group do anything to defend any of your positions to any sort of legitimate scrutiny. Want to do it right now to prove?
Look, my fault, chat. I want to show you guys something though. My fault when I screwed this over. I want to show you the way his face changes when the plan that he had. He thought he was going to he was going to rendezvous us. He was supposed to take us to another channel, set something else
scrutiny.
up.
Want to do it right now to prove me wrong?
We are.
Look at his face
right now.
Can you defend your position?
Yeah, I can defend my position, but you're going to have to defend yours.
No, see what I mean?
Oh no,
That's
no,
polemics.
so no, you're a coward.
No, yeah.
You're going to run. You're going to run.
No.
Oh, so you don't want to.
Yeah, that's correct.
Then get somebody up here that will bring Jay.
So wait, so you
bring him
only
up.
will
Bring him
engage
up.
in, so you
One
only
for
engage
one.
in
Bring him
polemics.
up.
So this guy's super confident, wants to debate with a couple of meatheads. I'm sitting there right in front of him, destroy me. I'm stupid, I'm an idiot, and then proceeds to take, as he called, a forced debate. This is who he is, bro. I told you guys. Same thing with Jay Dyer. Once you figure out his script, all you got to do is ask him how he came to believe that the Eastern Orthodox Church was the true church. Chat, if you're picking up on some of this, I want to show you the other controversy, and I'm going to touch on this, and then we'll get to our guests. But these things are important to kind of show you what's going on out there. Now, I don't know. I can't be certain as to what people are talking about. But chatter has been going around X, particularly with people that are saying that the snapshots that he presented from TPUSA, those text messages, are turning out to be a little bit weird. They don't seem to add up, and a couple of the different channels try to, of course, flip the image, put the negative against it to show if there's any alteration. You know, like if it's a PDF that's been altered. So I don't know how far this goes, but let me just show you what's been going on X with those text messages. Remember, this is when he was talking to Candace and said, "I fear that the left is trying to kill me." Now, chat, we already know that he said that numerous times. I don't know what the big deal is. Well, the big deal is, chat, let me explain it to you, is that if TPUSA had this text message, why are they releasing it a year after he died? It just released. It's almost been a year. Why would they hold this information? This would have shut up Candace people a while ago. Not to say it would have totally stopped them, but it would have got them to think twice. So he reads this text. I think the left is trying to off me. Remember this? And now people are looking at the text message and finding some things that are off. First thing I'll point out, just if you can see here, let me make the screen bigger here, is at the top, they're saying that the angle here already for waiting for the network, this line is essentially crooked. And it seems to be a photo of an image. So I don't know if it was his snapped image or somebody took a picture of the phone, then sent him the picture of the phone. But there's a lot of anomalies here that people are pointing out. I don't know this stuff. You tell me. Watch this.
So they killed Charlie and they killed Marley, both the Kennedys and Marilyn. They killed Diana and they killed Jackson. We are their legacy. This is their anthem. Stay silent. Stay violent.
So they're pointing out when you flip, make it negative, that there seems to be some images pasted in the back as though you're editing something. None of that should appear if that's a clean screen. That's what they're asserting. Now there's somebody else who says, who also joined on the bandwagon, and what they're doing is they're now trolling him. So Jimmy Dore, who basically was a crazy lib at one point and then flipped, now he's somewhere. He's just kind of a diluted liberal. Maybe he's call him a Democrat that just went rogue. That's where Jimmy's at nowadays. But he points out, and he used the same sort of analysis. He used Grok, I think it was, to point out there's something funny with these text messages. Watch.
That is a fake screenshot, at least by Andrew Wilson's own standards. So what are the percentage chance that it's a fake? Very high, roughly 85 to 95%. This screenshot has multiple classic AI generation tells, especially in the text rendering. Jessica Lynn says AI is more confident that the text is fake than Andrew is that Tyler killed Charlie.
Now that's a troll, because he said he was only 75 to 80% confident that Tyler shot Charlie. So Grok is more confident that snapshot has been altered of whatever that text message was. I think they're saying it's Telegram, and that it's been altered. This is where we're at. Now just think about it. Even if Andy doesn't know this, even if he's given this information, I mean, in the end, they would have still used him as a patsy. Isn't that ironic? Huh. Now Andy's the patsy because they set him up. Now, do I think there's a possible text message that existed that he says the left is trying to kill me? Yeah, of course. Of course, there's a text message out there. Sure. I just don't believe it was on 9/9. I think that is a total lie. I think they fabricated that. I don't believe that text message, that message to his security would have been withheld this whole time. That's nuts. especially after his head of security says, I never received that message. And then his wife, Erica Kirk, says, he never sent out no text messages a day before saying somebody he thinks he's going to die. Okay? With all that said, you guys just have to ask yourself different questions. If this was your family, if this was a victim in your family, would you sit here and just take some of these explanations? Or would you just say, hey, bro, I don't know who shot him, but let me ask you a question. Do you think I'm stupid? Because this don't make sense. You had this message for how long? Did somebody forgot it? Where did you forget it? It's nuts. So much so that I think PBD, who's not great in his analysis, he's a numbers guy, but he made a great analysis here with this whole Candace Charlie Kirk thing. And he said it best. And when I give credit where credit is due, when somebody comes with a W take. PBD doesn't normally come with a W take. He has some okay stuff, but listen to what he tells Glenn Beck, and I think he nailed it.
For a debate. Everybody walks away. I think I saw some things that I didn't know, but I got frustrated with it. What were your thoughts on that debate? What did you come away with thinking?
Here's what I got away thinking. So let's set the business aside on how they both benefited, financially. Let's set that aside because it's really about Charlie. I think somebody else needed to be in that seat than Andrew Wilson. I think.
Enough said, chat. That's absolutely right. Somebody else could have done a lot better in talking to Candace Owens and getting her to produce, getting her to set up her evidence and walking her through that evidence. Somebody he nailed it. Somebody else could have done much better. Andrew Wilson, he doesn't know a lot of the topics he's arguing because he could just open a pack of Marlboros and just pull up and just bull his way through a conversation. So he doesn't do the work. And when he doesn't do the work, you don't know what question to ask. It's just like any good attorney in any case. If they're asking you the question, they already know the answer to it. And what Andrew Wilson does is he doesn't know the answers to some of these questions. In fact, he'll say, just give me the questions the day before we pull up, because that's how brilliant he thinks he is. So PBD is right on the money. That's a W take. W take. So when people tell you the truth about people in front of you and it starts to add up. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about somebody who's fraudulent, who I told you before I had a conversation with him, I knew what he was going to do, which is why he got caught up in the situation with me that he did. He pulled up and he got caught. Why? Because we knew the moves he was going to make before he made them, because it's very easy. Remember, I want to remind you something, because today we're going to talk about, with our guest, he's going to give us some deep insight into how Andrew Wilson works. But I want to tell you, remember where he was when Charlie Kirk got shot.
Rifle.
Right? This is where he was, meaning mentally, when Charlie Kirk was killed. Listen to him then versus now.
I do have many questions here. Where's the rifle?
Did they find it? I thought they found it.
They found it, yeah, but here's the interesting part. They didn't find it on the roof. They found it in a wooded area near the location. When I witnessed this guy jumping, where's the rifle? I don't see it.
Wait, what? Wait. You see it on the camera? This guy's now telling us he can see the rifle.
You have a Mauser that's a fixed barrel. That's not something you're going to be able to take the barrel off of without specialty tools, a gun vise, and various things like this. That is a threaded, not pressed barrel. So you're not just going to unthread that barrel. That's not how that works.
And not only do we see him just get up, look to not thread anything with no tool at all in that video, but he does it with ease and within seconds without even delaying. Like if it was you and I on that roof, and we're just trying to get from point A to point B, and we're putting our car keys away, we're going to struggle. We're going to look down. We're going to fumble. This guy doesn't do anything. He gets up, lays down, gets up, makes a beeline, hops off the roof. Either he's a professional, which we know Tyler Robinson wasn't. That's the only way we could see a person move like that, dismantling a gun, supposedly. But look at the difference. This is a classic case of where you can see Andrew Wilson he is going to switch according to the political expediency, or in this case, wherever the cash is moving. And they told him, hey, you come defend us. We'll pay you, wink, wink, but we won't pay you W-2, allegedly. Remember, allegedly. This is all allegedly. And I want to say something too, is that even if he did, right? Let me go ahead and give you guys a classic line. Even if he did, so what? Even if I granted to you that he is being paid by them, so what? Remember that line. In fact, the next time you're having an issue with somebody, like you want to gaslight somebody, if you're arguing, you're having a little bit of argument with your husband or your wife or whatever in your marriage, then just go like, hey, even if I granted to you, like you just, you broke the glass, and they say, why'd you do that? You didn't see you broke the glass. I'd be like, listen, even if I granted to you that I broke it, what? You just broke it. You're gaslighting them. So what? So what? Yeah, classic. All right, Chad. I hope you guys are starting to figure out who this dude is. And now that you have all the inside information, don't say I didn't tell you. Now, without further ado, I want to say this particular brother, and I call him a brother. He's not a Christian, but he openly told me that. But he is exploring, so pray for him. And me and an elder brother talked to him some months ago, and I'm sympathetic to what he's going through. So it took a lot for him to come out and say what he's going to say. But I do call him that in love, and I hope he comes towards the Lord. And I believe he's on his way. So without further ado, my brother from another mother, Spiro in the house. Let me get you set up on the right one, though, because I don't like it when I have the smaller screen. There he is. All right. So Spiro, I want to say a couple things, and then I want to let you rip. But sure. I really want folks to get to know who you are in this conversation, because they're going to see that you're a smart guy. But I want to just say, right. Well, I mean, you're smart, and definitely a couple of fields that we've chatted about already. But I want to say this. You had initially contacted me and just wanted to give me a heads up as you started to see that I engaged into the ortho bro sphere and came across Andrew Wilson. And when you had reached out to me, what you were trying to do was simply just give me no kind of secrets or any kind of, like, as I would say, gossip or anything. You were just trying to tell me, hey, this is how these guys kind of operate. And, I just want to give you a heads up that what they're doing is a different agenda than what you're after. I remember you said that specifically really quick within the first conversation, that you were kind of, profiling me to see if I was on the up and up. And what you told me is what you're doing is not what he's doing. You seem to be a person that wants the truth and, will say whatever's on your mind and will be honest. He does it. He's making a lot of money. His company's growing and he has an agenda. And then you began to tell me about the agenda and your background as to how you know him. So I just want to tell people that's how you and I connected. So I want to open the floor and tell us how you know, how you came to know Andrew, the Crucible, in your background, and how you guys kind of met and connected. Because I think that is huge, especially what you told me that he said to you in, I believe it was Tennessee at the time when you came over to that event. Go ahead, Spiro.
Okay, well, first of all, I just want to thank you for having me on, first of all, and being kind and gracious to me throughout this time. Like you said, I'm not a Christian, but I have a Christian kind of background, being an ex-Jehovah's Witness. So, a lot of people don't consider them Christians, but they fall kind of under that umbrella a bit. Mm-hmm. So I know a bit about it. I do have a reverential belief in a creator, and I'm just trying to figure it out. That's all. I just want to get to it. And that's critically important to why I'm talking about it. It'll come up again. But thank you for all the support. You guys.
Oh, thank you for being here, bro.
So the background of how I started was, well, the way that I see it anyways, is that Andrew came in at a very particular time. It was during the coffee cough period, although he existed before, but people were getting sick all over the world, let's say, right? And frustrated, upset. I didn't like what they were hearing and seeing, didn't like the hypocrisy that they were seeing from certain angles. And he had the right energy. He had that anger, that frustration. He was coming in to destroy and wreck people. And he knew how to use verbal jujitsu, as he would say, to dismantle some of the ideas that were there. So that has a wide appeal because lots of people don't have that kind of energy. They have it inside of them, but they don't have the willingness to go out and engage. They like watching the entertainment factor. There's all kinds of stuff that plays into how he came in at the right time, or how he grew in that period, let's say, because he had been there before. So I want to be clear, like he grew at that period because he matched the energy there. That vibed with me as well. And the way that I initially saw it was that there was an overall goal. And the overall goal was something along the lines of leftist, woke, progressive ideology with all like the crazy feminism movements and the crazy like woke stuff. And you can't say certain words and you can't ask any questions about things and things like that. So I was vibing with that, particularly in my field in tech. It has infected tech the very way that we actually build our code, which is something that later on Andrew I think respected me for attacking in my little corner of the world. So I started to support him. At the time I had work, I had the funds to support him financially. But the way that I saw it was not really support of Andrew, although it did include support of Andrew himself. But it was that goal. That's the goal I saw. Andrew could have been anyone. It could have been anybody else but Andrew who filled that role, and I would have been there because that cause would have been there. Like you and I, we both have kids. My kid has to grow up in this world.
Yep.
And the craziness that's being injected into the world right now, I think we can all agree with Andrew to some degree that it's gone way too far. So I'm there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I grew from there. I joined the Crucible and the Discord. I got to listen in on a lot of the voice chats and participate also. Got to meet people, get to know some of the people there, some of the mods, have conversations with Andrew, some personal conversations, which it's not relevant, but just, stuff that we would just shoot the breeze sometimes. Some people tangentially related to him or worked with him. I got to work alongside some of, I guess, what you would call the team members there. Sometimes I would be asked to help with something to do with research for a debate topic. Sometimes I would simply offer, and sometimes it would be accepted, and sometimes it didn't matter, or they didn't need me or whatever. So there was some, I don't know if you could call it insider, but I definitely, I feel like I had like a rapport that was a little bit more in depth than I'm just a viewer who sends money.
Right.
There's a bit more than that, more involved in that.
Right.
So that's kind of the background, how it played out over the years. I think as the years wore on, I got just a little bit closer and more in depth with people, got to know people better. They got to know me better, etc. I know Andrew shouted me out a few times, which I'm still grateful for. That was very kind of him to do because he certainly did not have to do that. He shouted me out publicly a few times. So there's lots that I'm still grateful for there. And
when you say he shouted you out as a person who supported him, who essentially helped him, up to the point where he was at the time, saying, hey, this person has been a great supporter of me and gave you compliments.
Yeah. And again, I'm still grateful for that. I don't take that back. I appreciate that. That's not something he ever had to do.
Right.
So I do appreciate that. And so yeah, this kind of sucks because then I get invited to go down to the debate con in Nashville towards the end of, I believe it was towards the end of last year. And I met lots of cool people there in real life, people who I'd only been talking to online on Discord or whatever. And it kind of just took a turn there. So, so at the time when I was there, at first everything started off great. There was no problem. We were having a great time. Everything was going well. And like I had always done, I had offered I had offered my services, my support. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all of that again because it's in my video, but it took a turn and it's unfortunate how it played out because that's not what my intention was. And I thought after the years of all the stuff that they did for me and I did for them, that it would have just been assumed that I intended the best and not the worst. And for some reason or another, and part of it, looking back, I definitely communicated poorly, and I have been open saying that. I am really dumb, you guys. You have to remember, I'm a regular Joe Schmo like you guys, and I make mistakes all the time. Communication's not exactly my strong suit in many factors, so I take blame as well for that. And I could have picked up on some cues about some things that that they said, the way that they worded certain things, and I wish I had made different decisions, but it turned out to be what it was. Out of that, though, it kind of shook me because the speed with which all this stuff happened kind of jolted me out of looking at things as this is a mission, and now looking at it as, wait, who are these people? Why did they behave this way? And it's irrespective of whether I'm completely at fault, they're completely at fault, or somewhere in between. It's just, wait, what the heck happened here? What were the personality clashes? My personality and their personality. So I took a few months, as you well know. It was a lot of struggle to even determine whether I even wanted to say anything. And I, at that time, I was during that time period between Nashville and, well, recent, I was thinking about the personalities involved. So it's now removed from the mission is to go out and attack the left and attack. It's now, who the heck was I dealing with here, and why did it break down so fast? When I started to look at things through that lens, I realized just how stupid I was. And I deserve a lot of the terrible comments on my video about like, how stupid could you be to send that, the money, that much money and whatever. It's like, yeah, no, learn from my mistakes, please. I'm ashamed of that. I should have seen it sooner.
Now, just so that people haven't caught your video, and of course we'll I'll pull up your channel, but just in the neighborhood over the years, you'd given him more than 10,000, more than 20,000. You think
it must have been more than 20,000. I don't know the exact number. It would be good if I had it, but I have the bank receipt, so I can go track it down, but it's definitely more than 20,000. Gotcha. It might be in the order of something like 40,000 over the years.
Gotcha. Got it. Okay. So then, and just so that we arrange the timeline, so there was a fallout, miscommunication on a project, some work that you were doing for them at the time, cooperating with them. Something happens and clashes. Is that after the Tennessee? Is that after that the debate con thing?
It was during.
During. Okay. So this is happening during. Now tell me about that, because I remember you told me that when you met, that was the first time you met him then, right? Yep. So then over the years, you had never met him in the flesh, and you pulled up to debate con, and he said something to you as you pulled up. I don't know if it was at the airport or when you pulled up to the hotel or whatever it was. What did he tell you? You told me he told you something that regarding he couldn't forget you and your support. Tell us about that.
Yeah, he did say that. It was the first night, and we were at the first event on the Friday night, and I genuinely was excited to see him because I considered him a friend, and he came up and gave me like a big hug and called me a name out of, bro, like the bro, you make fun of each other kind of a thing. Called me a name. And then later on, we got to talking, and he understood that I was in a bad position, and he made it clear that he wanted to help me out. Very kind and gracious of him. And part of that conversation was indeed like, man, I remember when you bought me my first set of, maybe not the first, but he said you bought me some equipment that I still use to this day. Back when I first donated to him, somewhere along the lines of that. And he said that, yeah, he still at the time, he said, I still use some of this to this day, some of the equipment you have to this day. And part of why I'm here is because of your support. Paraphrasing a bit there, but that's essentially what he got. And I remember telling him, like, man, for the mission that we have, I remember saying this, like, the mission that we're both after here, you're not even close to famous enough or something like that. Like, you're not even big enough yet. You have to get bigger, I told him. He's like, yeah. Like, we don't have enough power yet. I don't have enough of a movement here to make the kind of change that I want to make. And it ties into some stuff that he says very publicly. Like, at the very least, can we just like slow this craziness down? Maybe we can't stop it. Maybe we can't change it, but maybe we can just slow it down. That's kind of like his publicly stated mission on what to do, and that's what we talked about that night briefly. It's just like, man, we need to do more for you. It's like, yeah. So yeah, that's
so at this point, and this is where I picked up on something that I noticed that he made some connections. I think he got on him and Jay Dyer, because Jay Dyer's not good at marketing apparently. I guess he admits it or whatever. So Andrew Wilson's got the motion, and he puts him on the boat with him and gets motion. They get on to what is it? Pierce Morgan or whatever the show is, but we noticed that there was a window here at the earlier part of the year, the end of last year, where his stock took off, meaning all of a sudden he was kind of anywhere and everywhere. It seemed like he had tapped into some connection. That was my speculation, right? Allegedly speculating, because something happened where all of a sudden both these guys were on these shows, and then he's on Joe Rogan and he goes on Joe Rogan again. It seems to be this sort of group of people that he got connected to, and it kind of took off from there. What is your kind of insight? Again, speculation, just your opinion. Did he tap into some money? Was he already talking to TPUSA then? Were you hearing rumors about TPUSA even then? Or is that something that you kind of heard happen or after you left, or you weren't talking to them anymore?
Yeah, I don't have any definitive, this clearly proves here's like a record or something like that. And what was told to me was nothing that I could lay a claim on. I would say that if you just look at his public movements and perhaps some of the changes that I personally noticed in the strategy and his progression to growth, and you can also verify this publicly as well, you really don't have to do a big deep dive on this. He got connected with Jay Dyer probably, man, it must have been, I fact check me on this, but it's something like 2021. I remember one of the first chats he had with Jay Dyer, and there is some video actually on YouTube that has that recording of him talking. He's just kind of
I was back in the day when he was talking to him, and Pedro, his partner, was still around. Which you still talk to Pedro now, but I remember that. Definitely Andrew is, I don't think he's grown in knowledge. He's just grown in rhetoric in certain ways, but he definitely was a different sounding guy in that interview. And you could see the dynamic there. It seemed like Jay Dyer was a god to him in a way. So
in a way,
yeah, and that's what I kind of picked up. But he connected there. They connect way back then. But where would you carry this recent motion in the last 9-10 months, or let's say the last year from last summer? Well, even speculating.
Right. So in my opinion, I think one of his first big jumps was Steven Crowder, and you can just look at viewership numbers. That was towards the end of 2024, I believe.
Okay.
And having a connection with Steven Crowder could have opened doors, because Steven Crowder knows people. And sometimes all it takes, sometimes in a lot of industries, it's not what you know, it's who you know, to common saying, right? So that could have opened some doors for him. But I do think that in 2025, he definitely started getting some connections. I was personally told that there was a leftist organization that was inquiring of him or somebody on his team to come help them debate. That's the way it was presented to me at the time, leftist organization. And that was very much right around the time when, I'm talking like around the Nashville, Tennessee debate con time.
So then you're hearing rumors that, hey, is Andrew Wilson for hire? The libs got their, essentially their clocks cleaned with the election with Trump. As I always tell people, it seems like right after the election, right? It's, right after Trump was essentially elected, not even sworn in, it seems like the world got just a little bit less, just a little less gay. That's what happened. And so the leftist movement kind of crumbled, right? And then all of a sudden, they're licking their wounds, trying to figure out who's who. You got these weirdos and all kinds of, not even atheist debaters, or Destiny and all these guys. They don't have the allure anymore. So you're telling me they're getting on the phone and going, "Hey, Andy, can you come teach our guys to be better debaters?" And you're hearing that probably in December of 2025,
October, November, I would say.
Okay, wow.
And it was presented as a leftist or a leftist group of some kind. I don't remember the exact words. I just remember the conversation in general. It was only one. Looking back again, this is speculation. Could it have been that it was TPUSA and then the terminology changed once he got to know them and he no longer considered them leftist and he just considered them maybe, I don't know. Okay. It's just, it's just what I heard. Right. So it could be mapping on, but I do think that there's some a case to be made that his own fame opened some doors for him. And could there have been an attitude change? Well, it wouldn't be surprising. Like when you start getting that level of fame and you start getting connected to people, it's difficult not to have to, perhaps you have to walk on more eggshells, like you're just trying to be more careful. Maybe you do have to adjust your messaging or your positioning because, well, now you have more exposure. Maybe it gets more dangerous. And I'll be first to say that some of the attacks that Andrew receives, especially personally, are completely unwarranted and in some cases absolutely disgusting. Should not happen. You don't go after the man's family. You don't do that. Like, that's insane. And he's had that. So I completely understand that, right? But I'm not really, my problem isn't really so much these things. It's so much how he then approaches other people in order to accomplish the goal that he has set out for himself to accomplish.
Well, let's pivot that way then. So even in the world of debate, and even if you're a rhetoricist or whatever they call it, or if you're, one of these guys in the gauntlet debate world, we would assume that everybody is trying to at least approach the debate honestly, not mischaracterize or, have the other person present their best argument so that you can present yours, and there goes the victory. Right. And that seems like a pursuit of truth. But you're telling me that after you started to examine this and then stepping back, you started to kind of notice that it wasn't really at times a search for truth or a debate for truth. It was simply like, line up the debate, let me crush, let's get it clipped, let's do what we need to do in order just to win, the clipping war online. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's where I know that the game has changed. And I'm telling you, not just you're talking about Crucible or what you experienced, if that's what you experienced, but that's what I experienced. It turned out nobody really wanted to present their best argument anymore. That's been about 1.5 years now, that nobody wants to talk about what they believe and why they believe it. They want to simply say, well, you suck, and let me tell you why what you believe sucks. And then you're like, okay, well, you don't know what I believe. Why don't you just make a positive case for yourself? These shenanigans have been happening for a while, but you kind of woke up to this and started examining that. How is that? How can that be happening? Or at least started to question, and how can you pursue the truth with that sort of style or strategy?
Yeah. So I mean, that's a great summary. You barely have to say anything more. So I just want to state that everything that I'm going to get into now, you can actually, like, a lot of it is just in your face. Like, they don't even hide it. So you don't actually need to have an insider, if you want to call me that, to tell you this. But I draw upon the things that I saw and perhaps in some cases participated in to some degree. Which again, like, I'm not exactly proud of all of it. Some of it I am proud, by the way, still to this day. But that, so there's a background there that I draw upon, but then there's also something else. And this is the more important factor. If you have a guy like me who is trying to determine the truth, there's a very big difference between an argument about whether the F word is vulgar and whether you are following the righteous path in accordance with God's ways. Mm-hmm. As a husband and father, with a reverential belief, like a deep reverential belief in a creator whom I'm trying to figure out what the heck this is all about.
Right.
Trying to be a good husband and father and a good human being to the people around me. That, the second part, how are you following, is far more impactful to someone like me as to whether I make a very critical, perhaps soul-altering decision in my life than whether the F word is vulgar. These are disparate things in the world. So it's one thing to come in and say, haha, I got you in a debate trap with the F word is vulgar. And it's another thing to say, haha, I got you in a debate trap with your view on what your theological groundings or your fundamental principles on whether you're walking with God or not,
right,
is good or not. These are two different people. Act on that in a way that might mean their very soul. And I take that very personally and seriously because it's personal to me. So just take a look at what he does openly and publicly, and you can kind of get a sense of how he plays it out. So with the debate thing, for example, with Candace, where he laid a trap, if you will, with the message release. Mm-hmm. He said he would release the message on a Friday. The Friday came and he decided, nah, I'm just going to go bugger off and I'll do it on Saturday instead. And people got upset. And then they started making claims. He's never never, the word never, going to release it. Then he releases it on Saturday, and then he can say, haha, you're stupid because you said I never was going to release it.
Right.
In my personal opinion, I think the same game is being played here with the text messages. Let's just take it at face value. He's got a real text message, but he purposefully only gives you so much.
Yep.
People make claims.
Yep.
Oh, it's WhatsApp, it's Signal, it's Telegram. Look at the mouse cursor. Look at the alignment. Look at the negative, and then they make a claim, and then he can go back and say, you guys made all these claims. Look at how stupid you are.
Yeah, and then actually presents a real image, which is not the image that he presented, looks corrupt, and say, see, there was a real one. Yeah.
Could be, right? But these are all like tactics. These are tactics. Now, this maps up in line with what I heard at the end of Nashville. When I walked out of the hotel room and everybody was outside under the where everybody pulls up, the cars pull up to drop people off, and there was a covering, and everybody was there. And I caught the end of it. This has already been corroborated by others, so I'm not making this up. But he said we have to meet them where they are. He might have been referencing the left. I don't remember, or I didn't catch that part. And then he said, "Remember, he either said, remember, we are saboteurs, or we are here to sabotage. One of the two."
Mm-hmm.
You start taking all of these things and start putting it together, and you can see that there's a tactic at play. And essentially it's what you said. Get the clips, get the big W's. It's okay to take the L's in some cases in order to lead to the W's, and play like debate tactics in order to lead a person so that we can destroy them. It's the destruction, the tombstones, the graveyards, the skeleton head that pops up out of somebody's head, when they're just crushed by this, right? That's the game being played.
So it's kind of like it kind of feels this way, bro. Maybe, and I'm not even a big wrestling fan, but it feels like the debate universe turned into exactly that, WWE. Well, in a sense, we know it's fake. Sure, it's dramatized. Everybody's got their lines and stuff, but there is some activity happening. There's physical activity. They're jumping on each other and and doing the whole bit. But in the end, it's fake, and it turned into that where you have not only him but others. What you're describing right now. There's literally grown men on here that'll be like, "Oh, you come in here, I'll destroy you. I will pulverize you." I've never in my life having a conversation with somebody, am sitting here telling them I'm going to destroy them. If I'm ever doing it, I'm making fun of these dudes who think that they're WWE wrestlers. And it's become this like game of gotcha who can do the best thumbnail. We're all guilty of it, but apparently this is their strategy. He wakes up to say, rather than pursue, hey, I'm 75% sure that this evidence is overwhelming. Maybe I shouldn't make a big stink and debate somebody who I don't really even know the case. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wing it and try to make her look stupid to clip it and see if I can't turn that into more exposure and a positive end. And he can only see a positive to grow his name in that scenario. So even in the Candace debate, even we're talking about this, you saw the clip that I played where before he's questioning whether a guy can run with a Mauser, he can detach it. And all of a sudden now today, he's totally convinced that he could see it in that video. This is like an example of what you're saying is, but I don't think that's, it's past provocative. He's not a provocateur anymore. He just seems to be like straight up gaslighting, and he's for hire. That's what I've said, allegedly, but that's my opinion. But I cut you off there. In that moment, and tell me again. So he says, essentially, we're here to sabotage. We're saboteurs. What did you take that as? And then as you've examined it, you've kind of pieced together some tactics and some things that you've noticed that tie to that sort of statement at the end of his victorious DebateCon meeting in Nashville. What have you put together since then, what that means and how you see it play out?
Yeah, well, okay. So funny enough, this kind of tactic has existed for a very long time. Now, if an example of that is Candace Owens, indeed, because while perhaps I don't have a dog in the race with regards to
neither do
Candace is right or wrong, Andrew's right or wrong. It's not about that.
Right.
But I think Andrew won from a optics perspective, because I think what Candace did very well, and something that you've done as well, is she didn't play into the game that he was trying to fit her in. And because of that, she maintained her composure, and she was very careful about entering into certain arenas with him, and it kind of threw him off a bit. Now,
Right.
that doesn't mean that he necessarily did a bad job presenting his own. Like, it's not about that. It's simply about the composure and what.
Yeah,
and
his
the game being
gaslighting,
played.
the tactic on her didn't work. She seemed to be prepared for it. I was obviously prepared for it, and so yeah, if you're prepared to dish it out, so that part, I totally agree with you. And like I said, I don't have a dog in the race. I would have, if it were me, just for to be completely honest, I would have loved to have been the person asking Candace Owens questions.
Sure, yeah.
I that would have been a dream scenario. So I kind of see it, but I could see that he wasn't prepared for it. But even in the end, some people say he kind of won out. Other people, say it's 60,
Sure.
40, whatever, wherever we're
Of course.
at. So when you saw there, though, let me break you back to that point. So in that debate, when you're seeing that happening, are you noticing some of these things that you're talking about now? Structure, tactics, strategy?
In a way, what I'm noticing is when they're not working. That's what I'm noticing.
Okay. Facts. Okay.
So I'm noticing when he's attempting to use them, but she's not biting.
Right.
Because now you can go look back at previous debates and you can notice when they do work and when people bite. And you can see that difference has a massive optics disparity. There's a big gap in the optics there. So when for example, there's a trick. I'm gonna get into a little bit of this here. There's a trick that he used on you. And you dodged it, and I'm not even sure you knew that you dodged it. I think maybe you did. You can tell me. But he was talking to you about, yeah, that's right. He posed this hypothetical. Let's say somebody burns all the books of the Bible, takes 2 paragraphs, writes it down on a piece of paper, distributes that to everybody, and as a result, far more people come to the gospel than ever before. What would you think of that, Mahler? Would you think it would be good? And your answer was essentially, no, Mahler, you said something very specific. I literally pulled the transcripts.
I said if more people get saved, I think I said.
You said if more people came to the gospel, that would be good.
Yep.
Then what he did is he took that qualified position and he put it into an unqualified position by saying, therefore, Mahler believes that we should burn all Bibles. That's the equivalent of asking Andrew, if I went and burgled all the homes in the United States of America, and as a result of that, I got hundreds of millions of dollars, and then I used that hundreds of millions of dollars to go baptize far more people and bring them to Jesus than ever before. Would you consider that to be good? And if he said yes, then I would say Andrew approves of burglary.
Yeah,
of being burgled.
Yeah.
This is a rhetorical strategy, like a debate strategy, which is old. Aristotle wrote the Sophist Refutation, and in it, he even describes the concept of doing debates in the form of athletic competition and how that kind of dilutes the point of the debate.
Right.
In fact, if you go to Debate University right now, Andrew on his website states that it's a blood sport mechanism because men can't fight physically anymore. And so this is their way to now fight in modern day. So that's the perspective they see it. And Aristotle knew this when he wrote the Sophist Refutation. When you read the Sophist Refutation, you will recognize that many of the strategies being employed in a lot of these debates that Andrew does are almost the exact same thing, if not just simply a variation thereof. Then you have Plato before Aristotle, who wrote Euphydemus, I believe. And in it, he describes the debate strategy. It's an heuristic debate strategy, whereupon you have like a dialectic or you have a periastic debate strategy or whatever, but the heuristic has the exact same mechanical components of a debate as it should be. The only difference is intent. That's what makes it heuristic. And Plato wrote about that because he created a scenario where Socrates was there with 2 men, and Socrates asks Manet, who learns, the ignorant or the wise? And Manet says, I don't know how to answer that. I don't think I have the correct answer. And Socrates goes, don't worry, bro. I prophesy that whatever answer you give, man B is going to refute you every time. And if you read that whole thing, that's exactly what happens. That whole play it's intentionally showing you what happens when someone has an intent but plays along with a mechanical strategy of a debate.
Right.
Now, Mahler, would you do me a favor?
Yes, sir.
Is there something you can you pull up a tab on your screen? Is that something you're prepared to do?
Yeah, I can pull one up.
Can you do me a favor and look up The Art of Being Right, which should show up on a wiki source?
Let me see here. Art of Being Right. So Wikipedia? Is that okay?
Should show up. And if you found the right place, if you see Arthur Schopenhauer.
Let me see. Yeah, I see Schopenhauer down here at the bottom. But it looks like it's just the Wikipedia page here.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
The Art of Being Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now can you go down to okay, how about this? Let me give you a different link, which is related, but it goes into it. I'll put it in our chat on
Yeah, I see it here.
StreamYard there. You can
All
pull
right.
that one up.
All right. Pull that one up. All right.
Okay.
This it?
Is it the same one? Why
Oh,
does
did I
yours
hit
look,
the same one? Does it? Oh,
yours
yours
looks
is,
different than mine?
oh, does it? Okay, maybe I pulled the wrong one. Here it is. Here we go. There you go.
There we go. Okay, perfect. All right. Just go ahead and zoom in on that first paragraph and just go ahead and read that first paragraph. And I want you to
talking
tell
about
me if this sounds familiar. That first part where it says the extension and just that paragraph
extension.
there. You don't even have to get to the
This
example.
consists in carrying your opponent's proposition beyond its natural limits and giving it as general signification and as wide a sense as possible so as to exaggerate it. And on the other hand, in giving your own proposition as restricted a sense and as narrow limits as you can. Because the more general a statement becomes, the more numerous are the objections to which it is open. The defense consists in an accurate statement of the point or essential question at issue.
Does that sound familiar to you at all, Mahler?
Yeah, it's pretty much his tactic that he uses every time with these crazy hypotheticals where he stretches the limits, and then what he tries to do is block all retorts or rebuttals, which is why he didn't want to do a 1-for-1. Remember that? He was not a fan of doing the 1-for-1 with me, and that makes a whole lot of sense now. But now expand on this point, though, now that we read that paragraph. Are you saying that he's pretty much the same, using the same old tricks that we've seen before, or you're pointing out something more specific that he's tweaked it a bit? Am I right?
Yeah, he's tweaked it a bit for the times. If you read that The Art of Being Right as a whole, Schopenhauer, basically all he does is he's essentially borrowing from Aristotle with the sophist refutation and other types of fallacious argumentation. And he's essentially laying the case out that there are a multitude of ways that you can take the mechanics of a debate mechanism, introduce fallacious argumentation such that the opponent doesn't pick up on it or is caught in a trap, or the audience doesn't pick up on it, or they even clap along with it. And they go, oh man,
he got him
destroyed, and they don't see that it's actually a fallacious form of argumentation, but it's hidden inside of something that's truthful. And what I mean by that is it's hidden inside something that's truthful insofar as the opponent walks himself into a position that he states is true. And so because the opponent does that, then you backfill it and go, your brain goes, so all the strategy that it got to there, that means it's all true. That means it all, right? So it's almost like it qualifies the substance of how you got there. That's the entire thing of The Art of Being Right. Go and read that. I encourage anybody to read it for yourself, read the whole thing and see if any of it looks familiar, given the history of debates being used by, it's not just Andrew. It's
been done for a while. Yeah.
Tale as old as time, right?
Yep. And it is simply the trick just to get agreement, just to get somebody to agree with you. Yeah. And then there's also an element of getting them to agree and then educating them as saying, see, I walked you to an agreement because you didn't know something and I taught you it. So this is why he got upset when he gave the hypothetical. And remember the hypothetical that he gave me if he burned all Bibles. By the way, I don't know who's running their mouth about gossip. This isn't gossip. He's spoken to him directly, and I've spoken to him directly, and we're assessing character of a person that we've interacted with. Okay, so we know this person in that sense. So we're not gossiping. Here's the clear case, though, is if in these hypotheticals that he presents, the hypothetical that he presented with me, my goal was I already knew the hypothetical was coming. And that's why when he answered me, I said, yeah, more people to the gospel than yes. And then I said, my turn. What about you? And what did he say? He eventually, after he squirmed, and he said, yes, I would say it's a good thing to have more people go to heaven with a shorter Bible. And I said, great, so you agree with me. And then he would go, well, I don't really agree with you. Yeah, you just did. And this is what he does as well, is when you catch him in an agreement, you catch him where, let's just say a couple of facts that he may be off. What he does is he just goalpost, burden shift, he does his little move and tries to slick his way out so that he knows that people are watching and they are accumulating points as they watch. Subconsciously, a point gets added every time I get him to say something or do something.
Yeah.
That's why the first 30, 40 minutes of me playing with him, when I figured out he is inept, he doesn't know what the Christian religion is. And he used to be a Protestant. I find that kind of funny. That's why when I asked him what the gospel is, and he said, it's Jesus, the word, and he didn't know. People were like, no, he was joking. No, he wasn't joking. A lot of things that guy doesn't know about church and about doctrines. That's why he made a fool of himself. But I want you to talk specifically to that. I think this is the part that you illuminated me even more to what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
You said specifically that what you noticed is that there's a tactic of taking an L on purpose, even being made look stupid to flip that around and come back with a W. Explain that. That's what I found fascinating.
Yeah, well, in many senses, we've already brought it up. So an L would be introducing a fallacious form of argumentation so that you can get to the W. That is exactly it. So you grant positions because you realize that the end goal will justify the granting of that position because the W is bigger than the position you just took on. And in many cases, people will forgive the fact that you introduced that position or you took that position on because they see the destruction at the end. And so they go, well, it was okay, right? Again, debating whether the F word is vulgar and granting a position there that's kind of dumb or whatever is very different than debating whether or not there is like a theological institution or movement or steps that you need to take in order to adhere to the word of God, for example, or something serious like that. Even politically. But imagine making a political decision because some guy used these debate tactics, these sophist-like debate tactics to get you to vote for something or
garner your vote.
And it led to many millions of lives being lost. I mean, we're talking about serious stuff here.
Right.
It's not stuff that warrants let's play tactics and let's play games and let's make them look stupid. That's actually a diminishing of the seriousness of the topic at hand. And for guys like me, it means what am I left to believe? In fact, I believe it was he came on with you and JP, if I remember correctly, before your actual debate. And he said something like, if I do an internal critique and I prove your position wrong, it doesn't actually prove my position right. Okay, so then what you're left with on serious topics is what? Emptiness?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
Like you're just left with
and all
emptiness,
that's it's clips. It's clips of somebody getting dunked on. But then you go, oh, so that's great. So you must have all the answers since you dunked on this person. Well, no. I don't really have the answers. That wasn't the point. I was just dunking on him. We're moving on to the next debate. That's exactly the point. That is not a pursuit of truth. That's not a pursuit of you trying to actually present the better argument, the better worldview. None of that. Now, I know he ends up in those positions at certain times in bigger debates, but in general, it seems that he has a crew that is just a bunch of gotchas. And then they come back and regroup and go, oh, that was a good gotcha you got him with. But in the end, the argument wasn't better. The worldview presentation wasn't better. And they don't really care. In other words, if this was my crew, and so I had other people doing channels, and that's probably why a lot of people don't, is that they're nervous or scared what I would call them out on if they started this type of behavior. You won't have any of my crew trying to undercut fallacious argumentation. No, there's no way. They won't even, if we debate and we do debates, I don't let them get away with it with me. let alone going out there in public trying to prove something wrong. But you're saying is it seems to be all these guys have been put on to the same kind of rhetoric, or let's just say the art of being right. You know, is he teaching some of the things that you're talking about openly, or is it kind of, you know, under the table kind of, you know, presentation of these fallacious arguments or gotcha moves? Or are they openly just saying this? No, this is a quick little trick here.
He has definitely in like voice chats and Discord and on some of his live streams, he has brought up some of the tactics that he uses. So he talks a lot about internal critique, for example, and he'll talk about it as just what it is. He doesn't talk about intent. He doesn't really express, at least from my perspective, maybe he does, and I just haven't picked up on it, but he doesn't like express intent in the way that I'm expressing it. He expresses intent as like, if you want to get these guys, it's really easy. You walk them through this line of argumentation because they just follow an NPC dialogue tree. You get them to the end, and then haha, you won the debate. So they, at the very least, they broach that topic and they are open about some of it, including in his debate university, which is paywalled. But you can see that a lot of the topics that he talks about are kind of aimed towards understanding at least the strategies involved. So he might not be outright telling everybody, oh, the intent is to be disingenuous or whatever. I would actually be shocked if he actually said those words. But if you take some of the other stuff, like we're here to sabotage and just walk these stupid people through and the trash talking that he does publicly, well, you can kind of paint a picture. You can kind of get a sense of what the goal is at least.
Exactly.
And so then, yeah, of course you can map on the strategies to that goal, to the achievement of that goal. Like it's really not that difficult. Like it's kind of open in your face, honestly.
Yeah. Now give us the part too, where you said, because you were focused on the mission, because you thought up to a certain extent, of course, before the fallout, people are going to say, well, it's because of the fallout, you're bitter, and that's why. But what ends up happening is you just see, hey, I don't really see a reason to continue here. But then apparently what happened was that moment event where you had dropped a super chat. Tell us about that. So this is after you left Nashville, you dropped a super chat in which you were saying something that you continue to say is just public knowledge. And then all of a sudden, Andrew comes out of nowhere and says, basically calls you a snake. Is that right? I got that right?
Yeah. Well, if you're following on recent events from what's going on over there as well, they are definitely what would you call battening the hatches down right now. And they're watching what people do. And if you participate with certain people, and in some cases I do agree with them, they'll kick you out. When I sent that super chat, it was at another channel, and the guy had a debate with Andrew. Can't remember what it was about. And then he did a post-debate review with one of his friends about that debate. And they literally just laid out the strategy that they saw before them that Andrew used. And then I sent a super chat reiterating essentially that strategy. And then it was publicly made. I didn't even have to say anything. A person on Andrew's team a few days ago did a stream and showed the screenshot that somebody took on their side of that super chat that they've been holding on to for months, because my claim was that they're watching what I do. It's got Scientology vibes. Like they watch where you go, or at the very least they pay attention. Then oh, look what he did. Like, look what the super chat he sent. Honestly, it's a little bit creepy and weird. But that I knew that was happening, and I just needed to find a way to prove it. And it worked out in my favor in that case. They proved it for me, and I didn't have to say anything.
So you just put a random super chat up on a live, and these people watching him saw the super chat and basically called you a devil because, hey, you're at some other guy's channel just talking about, it was a tactic or strategy that was used. Here it is. And the comment is not saying Andrew's horrible, Crucible's trash, none of that. It's just, hey, this is what it is. And they had that loaded up. They had that as evidence against you because you're a traitor.
Yeah. And then like not more than an hour after that, Andrew said, like, so you've gone full snake. It's like, geez, man, that wasn't even there, man. Like, but it just proves to me what you thought of me all along.
Yeah. It was a reason for him to say what he already thought and believed. So right now, as it stands, you told me that they're battening down the hatches. So just give me an idea, without getting into too much speculation of what you mean by that. Does that mean they're trying to find out who the leaks are now that now that he paid 300 grand, has gotten more popular, or potentially he might be on the TPUSA payroll, which he denies. What's exactly that you're hearing is happening over there that's got them securing the ship and trying to figure out if there's rats on it?
Yeah, well, in some cases, they have every right to be concerned, because there's some people who have they haven't doxed him, but they've done things to him that are super sketch, and I wouldn't wish upon anybody, even though they were in terms of outcomes, they ended up being harmless, but they could have very easily been extremely dangerous. So I completely understand that position and why they would be very wary of people who participate or communicate or interact with certain actors that behave this way. Yep, I'm with you there. Not cool, man. Don't do that kind of stuff.
Right.
I was told, however, and it's before they really began to do this. They made a statement inside their Discord. I was told that there was at least one person who was kicked out because they saw that person interact with me on a different Discord. That's what I was told. I can't verify that, obviously, because I wasn't involved in that, right? But that's what I was told.
So you're saying it's getting so dicey that they're watching who's even talking to you and others, and as soon as they get a whiff that, hey, this person is moving funny, they're out.
Yeah. And now, Mahler, I don't have to tell you that that's true, because you've experienced this yourself, have you not, good sir?
Oh yeah, of course. And it happens all the time. And all I want to do is actually debate them in VC, but they don't. Then they get thrown out. So It's kind of the difference. But yeah, you're absolutely right. So I don't see anything right now that you're saying that's making me go, oh my goodness, why would he do that? No, he's trying to run a company, run a business, run a group, whatever he's doing. I have no issue with that. But I think what's come about with this whole newfound attention is that it hasn't been all good publicity. Now, from Andrew's standpoint, and I know he'll see it this way, all publicity is good publicity, whether good or bad. I think that he can always work it in his mind to say, hey, well, I used to say this 6 months ago that I thought Charlie Kirk, I don't think that, so-and-so killed him, but now it doesn't matter. Now TPUSA is a big organization. I can group up with these guys. We can make these conspiracy theorists, which some of them are very nutty. We can make them look stupid, and it's an easy dunk. And I want to ride this wave for 2026, and that's where I'm riding. And guess what? TPUSA actually gave me a little bit of money, and so maybe I can get some more money. Maybe there's some other coffers. Maybe maybe I can angle this as a political, group or future donation. That's where I want you to go. So in Tennessee, in this group, you talked about these guys coming together and basically started to form, or talks of forming this alliance. They have, Andrew Wilson. I think you mentioned something about Jay Dyer in the mix, but wasn't at that debate. And some others that they wanted to line up this force, this group that's going to go out and present this new Christian nationalist view. They want to be the new right. And of course, we know most of these guys are EO ortho bros. So I had this kind of plan where they wanted to put together a team, the A tier, and then they got their B-listers all going out there doing, the job of getting clips, of dunking, getting W's. Is that something that was a strategy that has a grander vision of actually infecting and getting into politics directly, no longer just attacking the left, but now associating themselves with parties or organizations like TPUSA? Was that part of the plan that you had heard?
So what I heard specifically was not exactly that. So I want to be careful, because I don't want to put anybody in a box that they don't deserve simply because I heard something whatever incorrectly. What I do know is that there were conversations had, and in fact, even Andrew and I have had it, and even in the Discord voice chat, it's just like, sometimes you just talk about this, like the strategy of how can we make a difference, right? And part of that is indeed expanding beyond just the scope of theological aspects. And so there are members in the team who are tailored to the political sphere, like specifically tailored to the political sphere. Some who are specifically tailored to the theological. Some who are specifically tailored to the cultural. So that could mean like entertainment of some kind, shows, games, art, things like that, right? So the broad strategy is this is kind of how I've pieced it together. So take this with a complete grain of salt. But if you take these pieces that I draw upon and a lot of the stuff that they talk about publicly, Andrew has tweets on this as well. And I think he's even talked to you about it, maybe. Let's look at it this way. He sees the Reformation as one of the motivating factors for how the left has generationally captured certain institutions and then propagated their beliefs, and now here we are. And he lays at least a portion of that at the feet of Protestant Reformation.
Yeah.
When you look at the last election, about 40%, I think, fact check me on this, about 40% of people were Protestants, voters, I think something like that. You can fact check me.
Yeah.
It was 1% or less than 1% Orthodox. So the amount of people just purely theologically based there's a huge disparity there. Okay, so having religious debates and stuff, it can get deep in the weeds and you can talk about like theosis or salvation or whatever. And for most people who have a life and they have maybe a family and they have a job and whatever, they don't want to get bogged down by these heavy theological debates. I just need to know what to do, man, right? And so they lean to the entertainment and the politics because it's more approachable. It's a more approachable mechanism. From the perspective of people who are Protestants and who just live normal lives, well, I don't think I'm crazy to say that a lot of them just kind of coast. I don't think it's bad for me I don't think it's wrong to say that. Like a lot of them coast. Maybe they don't even really go to church. They claim to be Protestants. Maybe they just don't follow through on it, right?
Right.
So they just have
I mean, that's in every tradition. Yep.
Yeah, right. So how are you going to reach those people? Well, you're not going to reach them with purely theological debates by crushing the Protestants.
Facts.
What you're going to do is you're going to expand into the areas that they are. You meet them where they are. Well, they're at the entertainment and they're at the politics and they're at the Steven Crowder and they're at the Piers Morgan and they're at the Candace Owens and they're at the Charlie Kirk and they're at the video games and they're at all of this. And when they scroll through their feeds and they see destruction and all of that, that's where most of these people are at.
Gotcha.
So it's an element, but it's not the whole thing. And that's the strategy that I came to understand, is that it has to be more than just we are attacking a particular theological foundation. But in some sense, it is heavily tied to the theological foundation because he partially attributes the blame to the current insanity to the Protestant Reformation. So he sees people outside of that paradigm as these are the enemy. They're allowing, particular people into the church that shouldn't be allowed with certain proclivities. They're allowing women to teach, and it leads to these other things. And so he sees that as part of the enemy, right? So he has to attack it from different angles. So there is indeed a bigger game, and there are indeed members of the team who their purpose is to present, or no, to go out and coordinate these kinds of attacks in their niches and elements.
So basically generals in different battlefields, they're taking that on, but collectively they all come home sharing the spoil because they're under the EO ortho bro. I guess it was, kind of the whole, I say this whole movement, this ortho bro thing, even this debate head nonsense is all a bunch of ex-red pillars that, once that thing died down, they needed a place to park. And that's where they ended up going. They ended up listening to, ironically, a couple of dudes that don't really embody what the red pill was about. But hey, they landed there. And now they're doing the intellectual mogging, is what they say. But yeah, but go ahead. No, I was going to ask you one other question, but finish your thought.
Yeah, I would just push back on you a little bit there. If you look at some of the people who do work in or around or with or support or like heavily kind of like close in a way, if you want to use that term for lack of a better term, to Andrew, not all of them are ortho. Not all of them.
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm saying is the ortho bro movement, which ties to what I've been dealing with. Yeah,
see,
I know there's another segment. And can I just say this? Since I've interacted with not Louder with Crowder, but what is his assistant? I call him
Gerald. I think?
Yeah, these guys are drinking this Kool-Aid or they're smoking the same cigarettes. I don't know what it is, but they're on the train and they can't make basic arguments and conversations with the guy who doesn't know anything about church theology, ecclesiology, none of that. And they just, for whatever reason, they're enamored with him. And you would figure, like PBD said, that he wasn't the guy that should have been there to question Candace.
Yeah.
And he's right on a certain level. Nobody's saying that he totally crashed out, but he didn't do well. And because he didn't do well, somebody needed to be able to do well against Candace to get her to substantiate or begin to walk out her logic. And he just kept hitting the same brick wall, repeating the same thing, and he couldn't flip or move. And he did the same thing with me when he was allowed to give us hypothetical, and then he started to notice that I would bring him into agreement and say, "So you agree with me?" And then he'd get upset and go, "No, I don't agree with you." And then I'd be like, "Yeah, you literally just did. Why do you keep agreeing with me and telling me that my position is wrong? Are you telling me my worldview is wrong? I thought we were examining each other's worldviews. What happened here? It seems like our worldviews a lot of the same. So what's the problem here?" And to say all to say this. So then, Spiro, how is it that you then would begin to identify people? Let's say even if you're doing business, forget the debate world, right? Because we're all just trying to live our normal lives, not on the internet as well. What is it that you think is lacking in this? Is this just hey man, he's trying to blow up, grow his platform, grow in influence and power, integrity. You can put that on you can put that in the back seat for now until we pilot this and get, us be the figureheads and the leaders. And then we can light up integrity at that point and start to, be virtuous with our pursuits of truth and all this. Do you really think that that's been placed in the back seat? They're really not concerned with getting to the truth. It really is trying to get in pole position, power position as quickly as possible. And it seems like it's working.
Well, he definitely has struck on something successful, and he definitely has a certain amount of skill in being able to utilize the methodology that he does to play to the current state of what goes on online and how people interact and engage. I would imagine he probably has people who help him to understand that a bit. It might be something that a certain elements of it might be out of his depth, and he has help, people saying like, "Hey, you should do this and you'll get more attention." I could see that, sure. How about I answer that question with a counterexample?
All right.
An example that I would think, if it existed today, would be a far better example of how you would approach actual truth-seeking positions for important matters of value.
Okay.
So let's take Thomas Aquinas. Has like a vast history of written work.
Mm-hmm.
And
one of the biggest ever.
Yeah. And one of the works that stands out to me, because I haven't read all of it, when it comes to like theological and religious backgrounds, I'm basically as dumb as a bag of rocks. So I'm just reading and trying to learn, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that stood out to me was it's on something about like whether the world always existed. It's a writing about like the always existence of the eternity or something of the world.
Eternal universe or world.
Right. And when you look at the way Thomas Aquinas approaches a lot of these, and there's even writings where like he was open to having people come and question him like directly, and then they would write down the question and then they'd write down his answer, and you could read all of those. So it was like kind of, it almost resembled like an open forum of like, just come ask me questions about this. It was almost debatey in a sense. It's like that time of the modern time of debate in his time. When he describes the I guess the always existence of the world versus not, he does it very differently than the debates that you see now about these important topics. And what he'll do is he'll take the counter position and then he'll say, this is their position. He'll try and steelman it up front. So he'll say, this is what, like, I think it was at the time the Catholics believed in that exact position. He said, the Catholics say that the world always existed alongside God. Let's steelman this. And then he steelmans it. He's like, well, could it be, and whatever. And then right up front, I think in the first paragraph, he's like, but this is what I believe. I don't think it's true. And I don't think it's true because my perspective of God is this. And so it runs contrary to that. Mm-hmm. Then he proceeds to get into that. And he breaks down things like, well, could in their favor, could I say that they can catch me in a contradiction? Because if I believe that God is all powerful, then why couldn't he make a world that always existed next to him? Then
Right.
it contradicts the fact that he's all powerful, right? So he goes through this whole thing, steel manning the position and trying to build up the best case, while also upfront having been honest about his own position.
Mhm.
And then at the end of that, he goes, now here's why I ultimately do not agree with that position.
With said
And he lays it
position.
out. That is the counterexample to what I would want to see as someone who's trying to discover what the heck I'm supposed to do about my decisions as they relate to what God wants from me.
Right.
Or a massively important political movement, or something that affects the lives of my family and their future. I don't want debate tactics and sneaky things and traps and spreading false information on purpose and all. That's not what I want. That doesn't give me anything. It doesn't give me anything to act upon. It's
Right.
meaningless. And that's why I hate this form of tactics. I don't think it actually adds any value.
Yeah.
Except to one person, perhaps the person doing it.
Yep. Or the person, clipping it or getting the gotcha moments. Yeah, I agree. That's why I well said, well explained. Aquinas, one of the more brilliant people in history, even though we don't, you can never know if you agreed with everything he said because he said a lot. But your point is pretty much what the Truth Cartel does, which is we want to know what you believe and why you believe it. And during this run in this period through with the Ortho Bros, we had people not only online, but in the Discord pull up. And what would happen is once they got off their script saying, well, you know what, your position is crap, or you got a booger in your nose, it'd be like, all right, cool. My position is crap. Fair enough. Now tell me what you believe and why you believe it. Then all of a sudden they're backpedaling. Oh, they bring up, I guess, take shots as they're losing, as they're trying to defend their position. They'll just, ad hom, they'll just, fire back at you and tell you again. And you just, hey, bro, you've already said my position is crap. You've defeated it. I want to know why your position is correct. Tell me why your worldview works. And all of a sudden, what you figure out is that a lot of these people don't know what they believe and why they believe. All they simply know is they've watched some Andrew Wilson videos. They've watched some Jay Dyer videos. They've watched some rhetoric, some tactics. And tripping other people up is what they were there for. That gives them the satisfaction. It's like I used to say, back in the day, we used to roll around, play in different cities, play ball in different cities. And what we would do was pull up to a court. Of course, we want the best competition, but we knew we were going to dominate a certain court and run it, meaning nobody else was going to get to play that day. Why? Because we were going to win the whole time. And us knowing that is how that's why we were there. We were there to win. And a search for truth, a debate about truth, or expressing your position and wanting people to know the truth about your position is a totally different conversation, debate, as you say, mission. And I think right now, popularity has exploded for a couple of reasons. Some of the moves they made, but I don't think long game this is it. I believe that in the end, he's going to be proven to be just as you said, or most people say he's a sophist or he's fraudulent. I don't think he has the deep knowledge. I think when it is in the end is he's just a normal dude like one of us, not any sharper. But what he does is he spends his time figuring the psychology of how to gaslight people, how to get people to react. And then he knows he has a crowd that he can just say anything, anything. And the fans will say like, yeah, he was right. Even when he says literally, no, I was wrong. You'd be like, no, you were right for saying you were wrong, Andy. This is how the cult is. That's how far it is. But I would say this, what do you see at the end of all this so that people won't label you as somebody who's bitter because it doesn't look like you're out here upset. You just wanted to tell people why you weren't a part of the organization, why you're kind of distant and sort of, maybe in the end, a person who's not bitter but wants people to watch out. So are you putting people at least on notice to be able to watch the tactics and the differences that you and I described today? Or what would you say you want your final message to the folks to be about Andrew Wilson and the Crucible?
Yeah, learn from my mistakes, because I definitely made several. And if you were to go through, I'm not saying anybody has to, but if you were to go through the history of my channel, because I talk about like whatever nerd stuff, programming stuff, But I hope that one of the messages that I constantly repeat, I hope that it would present itself. And I do say this a lot, is if a guy like me can learn about the things that I've learned about, which for a long time I didn't think that I would even know a modicum of it. I genuinely think that people much smarter than me, and many of them exist, I set a low bar, can put in a small amount of effort and learn a lot too. And they don't have to become attached to a person. I think what's happened right now, the state of the world right now, is that we have too many cooks in the kitchen. We have lots of experts, not enough quality information. And part of the reason is because people don't have the time or the willingness, like the impetus to go put the effort in to understand things. And in some cases, that's completely acceptable. The medical stuff, you're not going to sit down and go through a years long of medical degree. You're just going to go to the doctor and you're going to trust that the doctor's going to have the same goals as you. Family wants to live. You want to be healthy, want people to live a long time, be successful. He's a human being. I'm a human being. Why would he lie to me? Let me rely on his expertise. But there are some elements in life that only require a small amount of brain power to get you through the door. Just do a little bit of reading. Just put that effort in. It really doesn't require much. That's what I want people to take away. Use your brain. Don't just listen to the talking heads, because that's going to do a lot more for you as an individual and have more impact about the decisions you should or shouldn't make than anything I can say or you can say or anybody else on the internet can say. That's the main key.
Yeah, I think you point out something that's crucial, is that sometimes even if you are in a mission or enamored by, let's say, the figurehead of the said movement, it's you have to verify. And this is great because it points back to what the apostles taught us. The apostles teach us in the New Testament that what we're to do is that we're actually supposed to employ the system that they set out, right? And their system is to protect the doctrine, what was taught, right, to them by Christ and what Christ taught, persevere in it, and prove it with the same doctrine. But if you're standing back and you don't even know your own faith, you don't even know potentially, your moral, your principles that carry out through your decision-making process, especially when it comes to politics. I always tell people that they got it flipped upside down, right? It's they got it person or they got it party. Starts with party, doesn't matter everything else, right? But it really, in the end, should be principle, policy, person, then party. Party's downstream. I'm looking for the person that shares my principles, actually has policy ideas that align with this, and maybe we can, end up doing something. In other words, making a change. And we've learned, even the hard way, even with Trump, is that even if you have somebody who checks all those boxes, you still have the liar at the end that can go, gotcha, we're not doing it. But what you can say, Spiro, is what you said, is that you put in the time, you did the research, and you found this is the candidate, this is the movement that aligns with me and my family, our future, and make the decision. So therefore, when Trump or when somebody like Andrew Wilson, they just go and spaz out and do something stupid or completely exposed for being dishonest and not wanting to share the truth, you can sit there and say, well, it didn't depend on that person anyway. Depended on the decisions I made principally. So I think in the end, that's what I tell folks all the time, especially the folks that we have and we've discipled over the years, and it blessed me and we bless them, is you have to be able to understand what you believe and why you believe it. So I'll give you the last word, Spiro. And then if there's anything else that we missed or you want to cover, I mean, I'm not in a rush if you have anything else. We've had some yapping in the chat, but we've done good ignoring it.
I'm sure. I'm not even paying attention. I just don't care.
So
I'll just say this is the last time I'll ever talk about this. This isn't my area. Okay. It's not what I do. I talk about programming. Maybe depends on when I do it. And I just want to do my thing. I just didn't feel right. I didn't feel good looking at my family in the face and like just being quiet about it. It took a lot of time. I think you can attest to the struggle that I had to even say anything at all.
No, I did.
It was not like, it's not like I was like, oh yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but
I'll just put it this way. From my perspective, you just tried to put me up on some game, give me some information, because I think at the beginning you were trying to judge whether I knew who I was dealing with. And, you gave me some little bit of info, but you picked up really quickly that I knew who I was dealing with. and you were very satisfied. And after that said, hey, we'll talk when we talk, but you definitely give me some insight and just kind of approved the list that I already had, that Andrew kind of acts, reacts, what he says and does, and sort of the organization that he's running. So from when you approached me, it was always from that. It was never this, oh, I got this thing, this secret, I'm going to create a channel. Never, none of that. You didn't care about that. You worried about your family, which, by the way, me and the brothers pray for you and your family as well. But I cut you off there. So in the middle of that, I wanted to just to tell you that I know this. You didn't come at me with that. Therefore, this being the last time you talk about it, I believe you.
Yeah, I just don't want to touch this again. I just hope that enough people. So I think in many ways the cracks are starting to show, and I don't really have to do much of anything. It's going to just expose itself. If they continue down this path, they'll become their own worst enemy, as it tends to happen with people who have wrong intentions and much success. Their success gets in their way. So if the trend continues, then it's just gonna, whatever happens is gonna happen the way it's gonna happen, and they're gonna have very few people to blame. Ultimately, what I said is at the end there. What I said is use your own brain. That's all I really want people to take away from this. I think it's really important for you to be able to exercise that. It's important for your ability to ascertain, what you should be or shouldn't be doing, or at least walking in that right direction. I'm definitely seeking that in a variety of different ways. I'll say this, that I don't have anything against Orthodox people in general. This isn't about a religious pittance or anything like that. I know you've had people like I believe it was Father Joseph a few months ago. And he's a cool guy. I like the guy. He's I think he's a nerd like me. He likes programming stuff too. I don't have anything against orthodoxy. I also am trying to figure it out, as many people are. And I want more substance, because the way that the popular debate styles are happening right now, there's little to no substance anymore. And it's a depressing thing. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, and that's facts. Well, we'll be praying for you. Spiro, you have a direct connect with me. We're always here for you, especially when it comes down to this theology stuff. I know we come off as a person that I can get at it and can be mixed up in some of these platforms and can get a little rough, but I hope that I build enough rapport. You've heard me speak about some of these topics that I can navigate.
Absolutely.
Again, and in the end, the important thing is you coming to recognize the Lord in your life and leading your family. And that's my hope and prayer. And I think I told you the first time we talked with Brother Norgar, who I thank God for. And so it's been a pleasure interacting with you, and we're not done, but I understand you want to get back to regular business, but I appreciate you sharing. And I'm glad that you kind of got this off your chest, because in the end, I think it's your opinion. You see it from a certain view. I don't think that, you did everything correctly. And I think they did you dirty a bit, of course, but I hope it ends here and everybody can just kind of, shake hands and go. But I think you're right. I think in the end, if they don't fix these fundamental problems and knock off what they're doing, which is not coming at this honestly, and he's the figurehead, the leader, that doesn't stop, then I think eventually this thing's going to burn out. So that's my view as well. But I appreciate you coming on, Spiro. Thank you so much.
I appreciate all your support. Thanks for allowing me on your platform, no less. And I'm sure I'm going to take heat, and you're going to take heat. And I told you privately, it's not what I wanted. I didn't want to bring this, but you opened your door very graciously. And I can't thank you enough.
No, I appreciate you. And like I said, it's been a real pleasure interacting with you, Spiro, but we'll continue to talk, and the Lord bless you. All right, bro?
Same to you, man. I'll pray for you as well. And thanks again. Thank you.
We'll keep going. All right, Spiro. All right, folks, there he goes. All right, see? A loving conversation. And I think he's right in most of his analysis. I think that a lot of the tactics, if they were fade away and people become honest actors and just approach this from building a strength of an argument and not pulling up and, calling your mother this, mother that, and, all the sort of tactics we see happening. I get it. There's meatheads on the internet, and you gotta step up to them. I see it all the time. But when you're having a conversation, and you really want to have a debate, you want to know you're dealing with somebody who actually believes what they're defending or is making an argument. And those are the conversations you should take and don't waste time with other people. I've spent a lot of time and wasted a lot of time in debates with people who don't even know what they believe, don't know why they believe it, but yet want to debate me on what I believe is stupid, but they have no clue what they believe. And I would say now, looking back, as many times as that's happened, and I've made people look foolish for doing that, it was a waste of time. And so they're in, lies the challenge of spending time. Just like going like this guy right here, bro, Mueller, you're a meathead. LOL. Oh, wait a minute. Is this you, Jay Dyer, on a burner? Oh, is this you? Is this you pretending like, oh, you're smart? Oh. I gotta practice the Jay Dyer laugh. Let's try it, chat. Yo, is Kai in the chat? Brother Kai, you in the chat or what? Did you fall asleep or something? Yo, this dude, somebody get him on the horn. All right, so real quick, let me get this out here since we got the Dyer Clown panel, the panel universe. Okay, who are you? I've seen some of your stuff. I think you've interacted somewhere on Discord. Do you have something to say? Because if you do, you can pull up right now and give us some insight. Sounds like you have some insight with the Wilsons, or I don't know with who or what. So do you want to pull up? I pinned the StreamYard if you want to pull up. Anybody else who disagrees with me, you can click the link and we can chat. But you're going to have to tell me, what you believe and why you believe it. And yeah, the internet doesn't die, so you're going to be on the internet forever. So you just better be ready to answer those questions. And don't give me dumb answers, because that'll happen. He's a whole liar? Wow. So I'm being told he's a whole liar. Oh, okay. So real quick, let me get this out of the way, because if the brother doesn't want to come up, I don't know who he is, and I'm calling him a brother in humanity. Panel universe, you're a liar, they're saying, allegedly. Hey, yo, say allegedly, bro. Dyer dossier. Go ahead and say allegedly. Oh, panel, if you have something to say, just click the link, bro, and pull up. Bree? Because if not, I'm going to throw you out of here. We need a Dyer burp. Oh, he has a burp? That's interesting. Nah, the laugh's good. Hey, did you guys, I don't know why, but everybody tells me that they can hear the gay echo one. But on my side, it cuts like the first half second. So it feels like I need to do it again. You know what I mean? But anyway, didn't get a shipment yesterday. I don't know what you're talking about, War Child. You're killing me. He has been lying to chat for people for the whole 30 minutes. Well, then why don't you guys pull up and hash it out? You can pull up and tell me why he's lying, and he can pull up and tell you why you're a liar. We have a bunch of, we have a liar, pants on fire debate. On CK's, he has. Who are you talking to, me? Oh, he has the burp? Well, CK's the master at that, bro. He's got his whole setup, bro. He's invested, not me. I just like the camera up and pull up. You feel me? They won't their what? Oh, these are a bunch of fake accounts? This is a bot right here? This is a Dyer bot? No way. Well, if it is, that's really... If that's the case. All right, so let me just tell you one more thing, and then we're going to bring Kai up, because I don't think, of course, nobody ever wants to pull up. They're always scared. Actually, you know what? The Aussie brother, real quick, let's get this out of the way. Hold up one second here, fellas. So the Aussie brother, strangers... Did he set up a time tomorrow? You guys are going to love this. It's a once saved, always saved conversation with what I call needgod.net's cousin or brother, whatever. You get it. He's from Australia. He shares similar beliefs, but not the same. He wants to tell me that he doesn't share the same. I think he set up a time for tomorrow. So if he's watching right now, just confirm again in the Discord. So it'll be a once saved, always saved conversation. Okay, that's what it is, not a debate. And we're going to talk about the scriptures. He wanted to go to Ephesians 2. I think it was Romans 3, John 6. Ooh, scared. Those are very scary texts. I don't know how I'm going to be able to explain those. But yeah, he wants to have a conversation. So I guess we'll set up a 7 p.m. my time tomorrow. So 24 hours from now, right, brother? Stranger, right? So 7 p.m. tomorrow for me, correct? And it ends up being like the morning for you or something? Please let me know. My brother, if we can just confirm it here, that'd be great. All right. So you're gonna pull up on my channel, and if you want to do, whatever the dual cast or on your channel, great as well. But we can have a conversation about that. If you guys actually, you know what, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this now. Chat, you're gonna go ahead and vote. Do you want me to have a conversation with this brother? Or you guys kind of like me? We're kind of over the debate over that topic. It's up to you guys. You guys are voting right now. Brother, stranger, I'm sorry to do this to you, but it's gonna be a up or down vote, yes or no's right now. Okay, you guys want me to have a conversation with this brother on Once Saved, Always Saved tomorrow night? Yes or no? She's got to give me a yes or no. Do it. The boss says do it. Yeah. Wait a minute. Yeah. Me? Bro, you don't even count, Dyer. Get out of here. You don't count. Get him. All right. Sure. Yes. Let's go. All right. Yeah, Steven's over that. I get it, bro, but it's trending right now. It's trending. Yes. Steven says no. I get it, bro. You tapped out on the Once Saved, Always Saved. But it really is the debate. Steven, are you like are you an apostolic? Because then you should actually become which Orthodox? Don't do this to yourself. Don't do this to yourself, Dyer. I'll leave you here. I'll leave you here exactly the way you came. And non-denom, same thing. Don't ever get it twisted, bro. Make a positive case for EO. Yeah, right. We're waiting for that one. Oh, it's because of apostolic succession. That's it. All right, chat. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my brother from another mother and just a fresh drop new single that we're debuting here on the Cartel of Truth, Kai, the Capo Killer.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? What's going on?
What are you at the barbecue or something? Where are you at, bro?
Barbecue right now. We actually are. Yeah.
Oh, see, I knew it, bro. I knows it. All right. So you got your headset on though, right?
I got my headset on, yeah.
All right. So here's what we're gonna do. Go ahead and where's the link? Let me go ahead and drop the link. But what we're gonna do is listen to this track. Chat. It's a real track by a real artist that we know can rap, my brother here. But the reason I say it's a real track is that it is not even 2 minutes long, because every song nowadays can't be more than 2 minutes for whatever reason. Nobody has the attention span to make a song longer than 2 minutes. So that's what it is. So I'm dropping the link right here. This is to the Apple link, but we're going to go ahead and play it. And we're going to bob our heads. This is a beat that I did, and Kai grabbed the beat and sent it to me. And when I heard the first set, the hella bars in the first set, I was blown away. And here we are. So I'm happy that he's able to make music, put it out there for the faithful. And that's exactly what the track's name is, Faithful. I just dropped a link in the chat. You can click there, go stream, download. Is it on all platforms, Kai? And tell us about this song before we hear it, like what inspired you about it and what you're trying to get across.
Got you. So obviously the track is specifically talking about how faithful God has been. And as at least for me, it brings in like a really big sense of just being able to know that God is always faithful. And on top of that, it's a message to everyone. It's not only talking to people who are in the faith, it's talking to people who are outside of the faith. It's talking to people who are false prophets. It's talking to people who are lukewarm. And what this pretty much is what I want my music to be. Well, what I want God's music to be working through me, which is a ringing out of the gospel to every person, because everybody needs to hear it. Everybody needs to, not in the sense of everybody needs to hear my music, but everybody needs to hear the gospel. Everyone needs to know that Jesus is their savior, and or Jesus is the savior that can become your savior, and much more than that. You asked for a club band.
Yeah. I was gonna say, on what platforms too? You got it on?
Oh yeah. It should be on Apple Music, YouTube, Spotify. Those would be like the main platforms.
All
I'm pretty
right.
on Amazon Music, but yeah, I'll check on Spotify in a little bit. But I know it's up on Apple Music right now.
All right. So let's get to it, y'all. World premiere now released. Track Faithful. Let's bump it.
Yes, it's the capital of the one true living God. Yeah, it's killer. Holy Spirit speaks through me. Brood of vipers, listen to me, give me the room. Bury your pride and let the fruits of repentance bloom. If you move against his hand, you get smacked and find you unprepared when he come back, cause he's returning soon. So from the comfort that's gonna kill the faith, the type that says of how you want you gon' still be safe. Living in trouble, so on the double run to his arms, and may his word grow his daily like he running farms. How many brethren in the fly know he's faithful, and you know that he delivered cause he saved you. Now we testifying his love in the whole world. His word we treasure to your soul like you own pearls. How many brethren in the fly know he's faithful, and you know that he delivered cause he saved you. Now we spreading his love, don't let the hate through. Put my trust in the Lord and come to breakthrough.
You picked the wrong beat.
Did I pick the wrong track with no second verse? Oh man, chat. Oh man, chat. Well, put it to you this way: that you just got teased because you only got the first. Click the link for the second. My bad. I have like 3 faithfuls that are all caps. All right. Well, chat. You heard the first flow. If you want to hear the rest, you got the Apple link. It's available now. Go click and support my brother's other music. Pull up to the Truth Cartel Discord, and then I can. You guys can give us some feedback. But go ahead and when you put out projects like this and sort of the love that you do this for, because obviously we don't do this for money. You want feedback, so obviously support the stream, but let the brother know to keep going, because much like every the rest of us in this world. Times we just need one word, just that one word that can make the difference. And I think me and Kai struggle a lot with that sort of thing, which is we're always going, but we always can doubt ourselves. We can get into a place where we talk ourselves out of things and we wonder whether we should be speaking. But I think that Kai is gifted and that he should be dropping music. Like I said, as long as he's young, even when he's older, but when he's young, he should be dropping as much as he can so he can look back at a catalog and people be blessed to listen to his music. So my brother, they got the links, the clicks, and then of course, I'm bumping your stuff.
Prayer requests before I head off though.
Yeah.
Guys, I'll be very, very honest. I try not to come off as prideful, and I think some of my way of thinking can definitely be perceived to other people as prideful, but more so my thought process is God being sovereign in it all and being able to work through me and being able to work through Moeller, so that when I compliment Moeller on any of his beats or whatever he does, that I don't forget that the reason why he's even able to do any of this is because this is being orchestrated by the Holy Spirit. But prayer requests, everybody, please pray that I do not become prideful, because that comes with when you have a whole lot of people that will look at your talent and compliment you. Pride definitely comes with it, especially when you have I'm not going to say any names, but when you have bigger or Christians with bigger audiences and bigger motion, the bigger the bigger they get, the more you get the more you're filling yourself full of hot air if you're not coming back to the word, or if you're not recognizing that it's God letting you do this. And
well, especially if you're in the Discord, bro, we're gonna keep you grounded. We're not gonna let you get too big of a head, but there's a lot of work we have to do before we can even claim we got a big head. And so as long as you keep finding music that you want to put a message over, whether that's for me or from anybody, bro, keep doing it. Like I said, and the next few years, if you continue to do it longer term, great. But you're going to look back at something and say you put your heart and soul in so other people can enjoy in their walk and, stay faithful. We're going to be praying for you, of course. But more importantly, bro, just for all of us to continue to fight, man. This is fun when we're doing it, but sometimes we get down and we forget. that you have a talent to do it, and you need to exercise that talent. So, all right, my brother.
Amen.
Thank you.
Truth Cartel. Much appreciated, Mola. Love you, bro. Always.
All right, love you too, brother. We'll catch you in the Discord. There it goes. Click on that link if you haven't already to hear that second part of the track, yow. All right, Chaz, anybody else going to pull up to have a debate? Nobody's going to debate? Nobody's just running their mouths in the chat? Yeah, you went to church. Oh! And Neil's trying to actually have a conversation. If they only knew Neil could literally smack you around and debate. They only knew that. It's crazy, bro. You can't make this up, man. These guys, they have no respect for Neil. None whatsoever. My Catholic brother. You people deserve to be mocked. Oh, really, Dyer? Do we deserve to be mocked, Dyer? No. Don't tell me that, please. This guy doesn't even know that he's in a chat where he's actually getting clowned and he thinks he's clowning. That's the best part about these guys. That's why I like smacking them around on X. They're funny, bro. All right, chat. So nobody's clicking. Sunday. Oh, okay. 7 p.m. Okay, so tomorrow night, Strangers to Jesus, my Aussie brother. Aussie. You are Australian, right? You're not from New Zealand. I don't know the difference. I just know you guys are way down there somewhere. Down over there. That's all I know. One other thing I think I left out in my opening. I think I covered it. No, I'm not going to talk about it. Somebody was telling me to mention about the whole Trump deal with Venezuela and the oil. Yeah, you know what I say nowadays? Okay, if you ask me about something that's happening with Trump and the promises he's made, I'll believe it when I see it. Until then, shut your mouth. Okay, I don't want to hear it. That's it. That's just my position now. Okay, I'm tired of this. Yap. Shut up, dude. Just do it. Shut up. So now that we've had an early dose of the Truth Cartel on the Saturday, I want to thank Spiro for coming forward. I want to thank him for his words of encouragement. I want you to pray that he comes to the Lord Jesus Christ and that he surrenders himself to the triune God, Father, Son, and Spirit, and that he continues his walk until the day that he dies as the leader of his family, and that he lets some of this things that happened to him in this event or in this association with the group, that in the future, as he says, we can all do a bit of research. We examine ourselves, but we should examine those, as the apostles told us, that we should protect what was taught, the doctrine. We should persevere in it. And if somebody comes around with, honey, trying to put honey in your ear and tell you, I have this other doctrine over here, ortho-bro doctrine. I have this doctrine over here. You're able to test it with the scriptures. You're actually able to look at the teachings of the apostles and the history of the church and go, that don't add up. You got some splaining to do. And every time I do that, it ends up with, well, bro, but our church is like, it's been there for a while, dude. That's literally the answers that I get. Some of you guys are laughing right now because you've been in the VC when you hear that. But my church, it's been around for a while, dude. Yeah, you're begging the question, what does church mean? By the way, if at any point you do want to have a chat or conversation, click the Truth Cartel link for the Discord. You can pull up. People always ask me what's going on with super chats. I don't think they're ever going to approve me. I don't know what the Lord's going to do. Pray for me. This is kind of like a daily thing. The Lord has always provided and been here, of course, for me. But there's days I wake up and wish I want to talk for 8 hours. And there's other days where I don't want to talk for 8 days. I know that's hard to believe, but it's just the kind of the situation you're in when you're trying to battle for truth. I can't get a paycheck and lie and pretend that I believe something just to argue it. That's not me. The Lord will never let me do it, and thank God that he doesn't, because I can't sleep at night. So I'm not that guy. I'm not going to make up stuff. I'm not going to represent history, present it to you and go, here's what the church says, when I know that's a lie. Oh, it's revisionist history. It's all crap. I know your games. I know what you're playing. I can't do that. There's other people that build careers on it and channels and actually making money doing it. I can't do that. I got to tell the truth. And the truth is, the history of the church is a mess. But God has worked through infallible or fallible people to produce the fallible, results of these different traditions. But in the end, the infallible doctrine of the gospel, the truth that sets people free, is what comes out, and God can do that. He can work through us vessels, as destructive and as dirty as we are, and bring about his good. So glory to the Lord. If you haven't accepted him, you need to consider that today, because hey, out here the world ain't looking good. I'm telling you, it's getting uglier every day. But as I always tell you, it doesn't matter what tomorrow brings, because you know I will serve the King.
The Truth Cartel, trafficking truth to the world.